worked for that company for 17 years and I gave my all. I got a call from the owner and I was told that I being let go. It was very devastating. Started working as a Lyft and Uber driver. But I told myself at that time, I am in control of my own fate and destiny, and I'm never going to put that in other people's hand.
I thought it would be fun, Lou, to start where we are right now, like where you are right now, and then maybe we can go backwards and kind of tell where you came from. But can you talk a little bit about your current real estate business, where you have how many properties you have, what it looks like, and then where you live, and then we'll go from there.
I'm here in the Garden State of New Jersey. Currently, I own almost 40 units. They're all buy and hold, spread in different states. Mostly single family houses and duplexes. So that's what I have now.
And when you first got started in real estate investing, I assume you said single family houses. What motivated you to invest out of state? I mean, you're in New Jersey and you now invest there, but like what was your original kind of motivation just to get started there?
Like everybody else, I was doing my W-2. So I'm working almost like 6-7 days a week. So was exploring what avenues I can do with the amount of time that I have on my hands. So I wanted to invest in turnkey properties, and the numbers will only make sense if I invest out of state, because if you know, New Jersey is one of the highest property taxes in the state. So it does make sense to invest out of state at that time using turnkey properties.
Yeah, so I want to go into strategy a little bit more here in a little bit, but the first thing you did, bought some turnkey properties out of state. You're working a full-time job. So that gives people a picture kind of where you are. I want to go all the way back though to where you started, and before you even came to the United States, you grew up in the Philippines. And can you tell me just a little bit about where you're from, what your home was like, and then what life was like for you kind of in the Philippines?
Chad, Philippines is a third world country, and by that I mean air conditioning and hot water is luxury. So I came there from middle class family, and in June of 2002, I came here to the United States. I migrated here with my suitcase, $200 in my pocket, and just a vision. I said, this is an amazing country, and I wanted to restart my life at that time. And I was able to find a job in a healthcare industry. So that's how I started here in America.
Yeah, I always love to hear where people come from, and also just influences that you've had on your life. I mean, I think we all are kind of my theory is we're the product of the people we've spent our time with, our families. I'm curious for you. I'm so impressed by your vision. You mentioned having a vision here and the different things you've done in business, what we're going to get into in real estate investing. Did you have anybody in your family at that time who was also an entrepreneur, who was a business owner, or maybe just who was a leader who kind of inspired you to do some of what you've done so far?
That's a great question. Like what I said, I grew up in a middle-class family. My mom and dad are both employees. So, that's when you grow up, that's what you see. And they teach you, go to school, get high grades, get a nice job, and save money, and then retire.
Kind of the rich dad, poor dad thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. But that's how I was brought up, which is not bad. But, when I come to realize, because when I was younger, I'm very close with my grandfather. And when I was younger, I think I got my entrepreneur skills from him, because he brought me to, we call it the public market. So he has like small businesses there. So he was teaching me how to talk to people. He was lending money to people. So I kind of learned a little bit about finance. Yeah. But the only reason I love to go with him is because every time I help him out, he buys me, we call it halo halo. It's like a fruit shake here. So that's kind of like my reward of helping him every day. But fast forward, now I realize I think I got that entrepreneur mindset from my grandfather.
Love it. So the basic skills you had, the motivation, you come to the United States, you have the $200 and a suitcase. I'm just curious, like, how do you get started from there? Like, when you get yourself oriented and you're figuring out what to do, I guess just survival and just getting a job is first priority. So like, where did you find that medical, field type of job, and how did that come about? And what was what were the next steps from there?
I came here, and my uncle introduced me to this lady who owns a small nursing home. She has about like 60, 65 employees, and she was in the process of trying to grow her business. And we came from the same school. That's probably why she liked me. So it started there. She interviewed me, said, "You want to help me out?" I said, "Sure, I'll try." And like with that mindset, all I know is to find a job, which I did. So I started there, helping her out with her small nursing home. After a few months, promoted. I started as a clerk, and then after like 6, 8 months, I was promoted as the HR director of her company. And then after 2 years, I became the chief operating officer of her healthcare facilities, because from 60 employees, I was able to grow her business, Chad, to 500 employees. Two nursing homes, one assisted living, one home care agency, and an ambulance company. Majority of those employees are reporting to me directly and indirectly. So it's a very big operation. And then that's where I learned how to operate healthcare facilities.
That's incredible. And just to give the kind of timeline there, you're about 25 years old when you came to the United States, and you get started with as a clerk. 6 months, 2 years later, you're operating a business that has hundreds of employees, and you're growing it like that. That's a learning curve, Lou. I mean, that's really intense.
Yeah. I had a lot of fun because I was able to improve my management and people skills. So, but it's blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had lots of fun when I was in that industry.
So my understanding of your story is you sort of cut your teeth there. You learned it. You jumped in the deep end of the pool, so to speak, and just learned the business. And you worked in that industry for years, right? I mean, so you were working in the nursing home industry and operating it. And can you talk about, like, I want to kind of fill in some of the gaps from there. So that was your career. You learned that business. You knew it really well. Like, what? Fast forward for us. Like today, you own a couple of franchises of a home health business, and you also have real estate investing. Like, what were some of the kind of twists and turns that got you from where you were working for that business to doing your own thing later on?
In anything else, we have our ups and downs. Worked for that company for 17 years, and I gave my all, like what I told you. But in August 6th of 2018, I'm never going to forget, I got a call from the owner, and I was told that I being let go. So I don't know what to do, where to start. I have a big mortgage. I all I have is this one source of income. So it was very devastating. I hit my rock bottom at that time, so I don't know how to start. But what I did, Chad, is I started working as a Lyft and Uber driver, and while looking for another job, in about like 2, 3 months, I was able to get a job in Brooklyn as a human resource director. I have to travel like 4 hours a day to go to work back and forth. Yep. So
Wow.
what are you gonna do? But I told myself at that time that, hey, I will never let anyone do this to me again. I am in control of my own fate and destiny, and I'm never going to put that in other people's hand. So I said, okay, I find a job, and I was starting to study real estate, because you have 4 hours every day. What are you going to do? So I listened to a lot of podcasts. I listened to you, of course. I listened to Bigger Pockets and all other real estate podcasts, because I came across this purple book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and it just changed my mindset. So, just changing the way you think can really change your life. And that's how it started. So I said, hey, this is not rocket science. I think I can do this.
Yeah.
And then I saw real estate as one avenue to do that. But the book also tells you that you need to have multiple sources of income. So fast forward now, I own 3 small businesses. I own a home care agency, 2 home care agency here in New Jersey. We're servicing about 60 to 70 clients. We have about 100 employees. And I am also, I have a lending company. I am a licensed consumer lender in the state of New Jersey. And of course, I have my real estate company. So
Beautiful.
that's the journey.
So I want to go back to the book. This is I'm a big fan of the movie The Matrix, where Neo Morpheus gives him these 2 pills and like, you want to know the truth and take this pill, or do you want to know, like, just go back and live in La La Land and the Matrix? And I feel like the book, the Rich Dad Poor Dad book is kind of like that pill you take, like, to get down the entrepreneur matrix. Like, once you read that book, you're like, it kind of sets you down a different path. And so the idea that you need multiple sources of income, that just working a job and making money for the rest of your life and trying to save for retirement is like a kind of a losing path sometimes. Like, you have to have your own, even if you work a job, you got to have your own business on the side. So I want to get back to real estate, because that's, what a lot of people here do, but I'm also fascinated by your business journey of buying home health businesses. And can you talk some about how you use the knowledge you had in the medical field and nursing home field, and how that led you to buy an actual business doing that? Because being an employee of that and then owning it yourself are 2 different things, but there's also some crossovers. I'm just curious, like, can you talk about that journey to owning businesses and what that would look like?
Absolutely. So when I lost my job, I wanted to see if I can acquire my own business. And what I really want is to buy a nursing home, because that's what I know how to operate. So I was able to get a deal, and I need to raise a capital. I think I need about like $1 million at that time. So I went to all my relatives, Chad. I went back to the Philippines to go to, I influential people, I think people who has capital, but no one said yes. So what am I going to do? Persistency. I did not give up. I came back. Okay. I told the seller, I'm sorry, I cannot buy this. I cannot raise the fund that you need as down payment. So I explored other business opportunities, and I came across this home care agency, and I said, hey, I can do this. I've been operating home care agencies also. So this is something that I can do. It's within my, cup of tea. So that's why I acquired this existing home care operation business in Bergen County here in New Jersey.
And so it's under the similar umbrella. Like, owning a nursing home would be, you own the whole facility. There's probably different levels of care. And then you have like I guess just more infrastructure, I would guess. Whereas a home health agency seems like a pretty good business in a lot of ways. You're still having staff, and you have technology and things you got to pay for, but you're going to their house. So there's not actually, is there less kind of infrastructure overhead, real estate that you have to own? Is that a benefit of owning that kind of business?
Well, yes and no. First of all, home care is we take care of the elderly in the comfort of their home. Okay. So we can provide companion care, or we can provide personal care. But your overhead is less because you don't have a big mortgage or big building to maintain. And that's one of the most expensive part of the operation in a nursing home. So you have that less overhead costs in a home care agency. But pretty much the concept is the same. We provide services, or we take care of the seniors, the elderly.
Got it.
And they are called the silver tsunami, Chad. There's 85 million of them, aging in place every single in the next 5 to 10 years.
Say if you wanted to sell like hamburgers or sell ice cream, the number one thing you need to go is go to where there's a hungry crowd, right? So if you're going to be in the home healthcare industry, you want to go when there's a tsunami of people who are needing your services, right? That's a good time to get into it.
Exactly. And it's, it's pretty strategic why I chose healthcare and real estate, because they are the most number of populations right now. You have the baby boomers, which I said is like 75 to 85 million, and you have the millennials who is looking for rental properties because they want to be mobile. They don't want to be stuck in one place. And most of them are also buried with student debt, so they don't have that ability to buy their house.
One more question on your home health business. And I'm curious, a lot of people think about real estate and you want to buy real estate and you don't have the money. You can go out and maybe, move into a house and do a house hack and put 5% down, or you can maybe partner up with somebody and they put the down payment and you get a mortgage from the mortgage company. But you want to buy a business and somebody says, hey, here's a business for 100,000 or 500,000 or whatever the number is. Like, how do you go about acquiring that? That's question number one. And then number two, what are the advantages of buying an existing business like you did instead of just saying, hey, I know this business, I know the systems, I'm just going to start my own thing? Like, how do you make those two choices?
So the funding, you can go to SBA. And again, this is an amazing country wherein you can borrow money and you only need to put 10% down of the purchase cost of the business.
That's small business administration. That's
yes.
the SBA.
Yeah, they will direct you to SBA certified lenders and they can assist you. But you just need 10% down. But of course, you need to prove to them that you have the ability to grow the business that you're trying to purchase. But that's a great avenue. Now, your second question is, I would rather buy an existing business because there's cash flow coming in day one. You don't need to do a startup. And that's the lifeblood of the business operations. Like, it's similar to real estate, your lifeblood is cash flow.
So you're buying almost like you're buying a rental property that already has rental income coming in. It's like as opposed to building the thing from scratch and having to start over and do it all yourself.
That's a great analogy. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. In one other comparison, I want to make the leap to real estate in a minute, but you own a lending business, you own the home healthcare businesses, and you own real estate. How do you look at businesses compared to owning real estate? Like, how do that fit into your life? I imagine some people think cash flow versus growth, or how do you think about it and how they serve you kind of financially in different ways, the businesses and real estate?
So I use my business to borrow money, because you can use your business to get lending funding. And if you can borrow money, you get the money that you borrowed from the business, you can use that as for your rehab or down payments to acquire other properties. So they're really or supplement each other, Chad. So, but they're in terms of operations, they're pretty much the same. They're pretty much the same in managing it. So, it's nice that you have business on the side and you can start building your real estate.
So if somebody learns how to manage the manager in real estate, or have like a team of people, 3 or 4 people who are running their real estate, it's not a leap to say they might, if they have another interest over here and a skill set, that they could maybe start a business or buy a business and manage the managers there. Like, those aren't totally different kinds of things, is what I'm hearing you say.
Yes, but it's pretty much similar. Like my business, I have an operation manager. So if you compare it to real estate, you can hire a property manager. So in a way, they're similar, but you need to know the industry. You have to learn it, because you cannot manage someone if you don't know the industry.
Yeah, you got to know the questions to ask them. So if they're running the operations, it'd almost be like with property managers. If you don't know what it means to screen a tenant or to do maintenance on a property, you're just totally, you have no idea, and they could tell you one thing and it might not be the truth. So
exactly,
obviously learning. So but you had that history in the home healthcare industry or in the nursing home industry. So building on that knowledge was like, the leap was, instead of me being an employee, I'm going to buy the business itself, and then I could hire other people to run it. And I've done that before, so I kind of know what they're doing.
Right. And it also gives me opportunity, because my sister is my operations manager.
Nice. Yes.
My mom is the office manager. She handles payroll, accounts receivable, accounts payable. My wife is also involved in the business. So, it's a family business. Having the opportunity to do that to your families it's a rewarding feeling.
Yeah, 100%. I love it. Yeah. More and more, Lou, I love real estate, obviously, but I feel like talking about business and real estate, and also lending, I do some lending as well. Like, there's not just one pillar of having financial freedom. There's these multiple, as Kiyosaki talks about, there's different sources of cash flow. And if you start building one that has some good things, and you might want to think about another. So I'm a big fan of entrepreneurship and business in general. So that's really interesting to hear the details. I want to go back to real estate. And so my understanding is, so you made this transition where you're like, never again am I going to depend on anybody else. I'm back working a job, 4 hours a day driving. I'm learning how to do real estate. I'm working on buying my businesses. And then you start, I assume, saving some money up to get into real estate. And I want to talk about strategy. There's so many, I think people get overwhelmed with the number of ways you can invest in real estate. And you mentioned that you're working a full-time job, you're busy, and you just decided to buy Turnkey Properties. Can you explain what that is and what that means to you and how that's different than some of the other strategies you're doing right now, like the BRRRR strategy and fixer-upper stuff?
I learned that you are allowed to have 10 conventional loans. So it was strategic. So when I had my job in Brooklyn, I said, okay, I'm going to keep this job until I can attain or obtain 10 rental properties, 10 conventional loans. So that's what I did, Chad. So once I hit that 10, and what are you going to do? Like what I said, you are working. I'm traveling for hours a day. I'm working pretty like 8 hours a day. So like that's 12 hours of your time. So the only way I can do that if I want to enter into real estate is go to Turnkey Properties. So Turnkey Properties is rental properties wherein the provider will give the tenant and the property manager. You're buying a house that is fully rehab with a tenant and also a property manager. So that's what I did. And when I reached that 10 conventional loan, that's when I said, okay, I made the bold move. Okay, I'm going to resign from my W-2 and I'm just going to focus on my businesses.
At that point, to make that decision, I know some people are probably considering that, or maybe they're afraid to make that leap. Like what did you have to see before you were ready to leave the job? Was it a certain amount of cash flow coming in? Was it a certain amount of cash in the bank? I'm just curious, like the details of that, because that's a pretty bold move to say, I'm out, I'm on my own now. Let's go.
Financial freedom, I put it in like 3 buckets, right? So the first thing you need to figure out is your living expenses, and you're the one who knows that number. So that's what I was trying to target at that time. The second bucket is your investment number. So you put money aside so that if there are investment opportunities, you have something to use. And then the last one is your discretionary spending. So once I hit that first bucket with those 10 properties, I said, oh, I think my family and I can survive with this cash flow. And I'm just going to focus on growing the businesses without worrying about where to get money to pay the bills. So
right.
when I hit that target, that's when I said, okay, it's time.
Got it. So you kind of have different levels of cash flows, like your bare bone expenses. If you can get your rental income coming in to cover that, that's like a level 1. And then if you get it, eventually you use your businesses to kind of have extra money to invest and also to do discretionary fun stuff, travel, eating out for food, that kind of stuff. So you have like different levels of spending, and then you try to get your investments to match that level of spending. Is that right?
That's correct. Because what are your biggest expense in America? Housing and car, and food is not too much, but so your housing expense. So I was thinking, how can I live free? How can I live wherein I don't have to pay mortgage? So like my house now, Chad, I've been house hacking for what 18 years. So my house now, it's called mother daughter. So there's like an apartment that's attached to my house. So someone is renting that for the longest time. I've been renting that since I moved into this house. And then my 3 businesses, because this is my office, my 3 businesses are paying rent for my house. So I don't really pay any mortgage. I'm living free. So I took care of that. My car, the auto payment, my lending business is paying for my car and my cell phone. So I that's the first thing that I did. I tried to figure out my major expenses wherein my businesses can pay for it.
Yeah, it's almost like you work on your defenses first. I remember my wife and I had we this is a different subject, but we made a decision in 2019 to pay our home mortgage off. Like this, I know that's kind of sacrilegious in the real estate world to pay debt off, but we paid our debt off on our home. And for years I resisted it. My wife was like, no, let's pay it off. We got some extra money now. And I'm like, no, we can invest that money at at least 6, 7, 10%. And this loan is 3%. Long story short, we ended up paying that off. I kind of did it begrudgingly. But then we hit COVID, and I guess the point I'm trying to validate with you too is that we had no payment on our house. We were doing everything at home during COVID, our expenses are like $1,500 per month, all in for like the whole family. And if you have a couple income streams coming in to pay for that, it was the best feeling, not because COVID was great. That was kind of stressful, but knowing that we could kind of be defensive and live off $1,500 a month in a kind of tough situation like that was so freeing, because then now you can go be an entrepreneur and take some risk and take chances, knowing that everything's taken care of. So I 100% agree. I think that's such a smart way to like take care of your basic expenses and try to get those covered first. And then the rest of it is like, it's kind of fun. It's a fun game from there. So you got started with 10 turnkey properties. These were, you put a bigger down payment. You're not spending a bunch of time fixing those up. You have a property manager managing those, and those are in different cities. So you're in Jersey and they're like in Ohio, right? In Kentucky. Is that, can you tell me again the markets you're in?
So the first deal I made was in Maryland. I believe like 4 houses in Maryland. And then I went to PA, and then we have some in Ohio. We have some in Alabama. We have some in Mississippi, and also in Florida. That's our short term is in Florida.
Looking back on it, are you happy with the whole the moves you made in turnkey and the specific markets you went into? Are you feel good about would you do that over again, the way you did it?
Everything is working okay, except for the ones in Mississippi. So that's kind of like a struggle right now. And it's not because of the location more, it's because of, I think I got the wrong property manager. So that's one thing I'm working on right now. Will I do it the same way again? Probably not as much as what I acquired as Turnkey Properties.
Maybe buy different types. Go to different types of properties. Is that what you mean?
No, I mean, I bought like, how many? Maybe like 18.
Oh, got it.
18 turnkey properties. Maybe yeah. I'm not going to do that again. Maybe just maybe 10 or but not that much.
All right. So I want to go to the other part of your real estate career. You bought these 18 turnkey properties in different states. You've also made a transition where you have a business now that buys more fixer-upper properties, and you do, like, especially locally, you'll find a property you could buy cheaper, fix it up, and then refinance it. The classic BRRRR strategy, buy, remodel, rent, refinance, repeat. Can you talk about that transition? Like, what motivated you to start doing those type of deals?
When I have time in my hand, and of course, when I was studying real estate, I learned about this BRRRR. Let's see, and I told myself, oh, let me try this. So I tried one property here in New Jersey. I think I bought that house for $205,000. I rehab it. I spent about $95,000, and I was able to refinance it for $460,000. So I said, "Oh my goodness, this thing really works." So once you got the taste of it, Chad, you don't wanna stop. You just want to keep on repeating it. So I started with one BRRRR. And so far, I believe I already made like 8 or 9 BRRRRs. So,
and you've been doing some multifamily property as well, or is it just all single family?
No, I do some multifamilies as well.
Got it.
Duplexes, yes.
Has the remodel part of the business? Have you seen any? What have you learned about that? Because I know that's one of the more challenging parts for people who have not. They start with turnkey, and then they're like, now I got to manage remodel projects. Can you have any tips on that, or things you learned about that?
Yeah, sure. So when I'm evaluating properties, I still check on the 1% rule. I want to make sure that whatever the ARV that I'm targeting for that specific house can still be within that 1% rule. Meaning to say 1% of the rent, the refi cost of your BRRRR, you should be able to rent it at 1%.
For example, if you have a $400,000 property that's worth $500,000, but you fixed it up and you have $400,000 invested, and you refinance for $400,000 to get your money back out, you would want to make sure that rents for about $4,000. Okay.
That's correct. Yes.
Got it. So the full retail value might not meet the 1% rule, but if you can buy it cheap enough, then it might still meet that 1% rule.
Exactly. Yes.
Yep.
And I just invest locally. I don't go out of state anymore.
All right. So you've got your 18 properties. You've got the BRRRR strategy. You're doing some of that. Maybe let's just fast forward to today, and this is kind of a current market question. A lot of the pushback or the kind of challenges a lot of investors are facing is, hey, the interest rates have changed the last couple of years. Instead of the 4% interest rates I used to do with BRRRR strategy, now it's like 7 or 7.5. How do you adjust to that? Like what are some of the things you try to do to make that still work to buy properties right now?
I came across this book. It's called The Small Mighty Investor,
Ah, yeah, I heard of
written
that
by
one.
a great author.
Thank you.
And it's just resonated in me. So I said, hey, this makes sense. It's not really about the number of units that you have. It's the amount of cash flow that you're getting to sustain the lifestyle that you want. So why would I make it hard for myself, especially in this time where interest rates are so high? So, Chad, my plan now is not to acquire more BRRRRs. I am doing flips now. I just finished my first flip. We closed like 2 weeks ago. And
Congrats.
thank you. And I didn't make any money, but it's more of a learning. It's like a tuition fee. I learned a lot. So, so that's good. But my strategy now is to do more flips and just probably pay off my properties. I probably would keep 10 or 11 properties, and I want to pay them off and just, live the life that I want.
So you're entering. I always call this, you have the starter phase when you do your first couple deals, the growth phase where you go from 0 to 18 or 20 or whatever number, and then now you're sort of doing the some harvester moves where you're harvesting some of the wealth you built and maybe selling off some of the rentals you have, flipping some other houses, and you're using that to generate some revenue, some cash flow to pay off the debt on some of your properties that you keep, your long-term keepers.
So like the houses that I have now, hopefully they will all appreciate good in the next 5 years, and I can sell most of them and just keep 10, and then whatever proceeds I got, I pay off my debts and live the life that I want.
Beautiful. Such a fun game. I'm really inspired by the journey you've taken and the knowledge you built, and also just the vision. You mentioned that when you first came here with the $200 in your suitcase and you had a vision.
My vision is just to get a job. And I thought,
Yeah.
hey, I'm the COO. I'm calling the shots. I get really good salary. I thought that, oh, this is it. But hey, you can, by a snap of a finger, they can just say you're done.
But what's cool though is that every level of your life, and all of us probably are in this in different ways. Like, you have these different goals, and like 2 years from now, I want to do this, and then I'll arrive. And then 2 years from there, you're like, no, now I want to do this. And seems like, you and I connect on this, that we're both pretty ambitious, but that's the fun part about this whole game, is that this growth that you have personally and the challenges you overcome, and you also get to bring other people with you. So like, I was really interested when you said you had businesses and you have family members working with you, and you're providing jobs for them, and you have tenants who are living in your properties. And so it's a pretty cool game, isn't it? When you can build wealth for yourself, you can help other people through your customers and clients, and then you can bring family and friends and other people along with you. And I don't know, do you have any comments on that or thoughts, just looking back on your journey from where you came from to start to where you are now? Like, is there any reflections you'd have on that, or how the journey you've taken from there?
Absolutely. Like what I said, I came from a third world country. And that's why, like, when I listen to the news and all the problems that we have here in America, the problem that they have in the Philippines is how to have 3 decent meals a day. So that's pretty much their problem. So I'm very thankful that, of course, from above, whatever I have now, and I always find way and have the opportunity to give back to people. And like real estate is really, if you really want to build wealth, real estate is one of the best vehicle to do so. And it's really fun. Talking about fun, I have in the Philippines, I have a mini beach resort, Chad.
So, okay.
yeah.
I got to visit then. Can I go with you and eat some local Filipino food and kind of check this out?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. So, we're close to BRRRR, Aurora. It's in the Philippines. I'm plugging. It's called the surfing capital of the North. But, so every time I go there, it's fun. I visit my mini resort and, just sitting down there, watching the beach, the sunrise, the sunset. It's just a very rewarding feeling. And I can bring anyone I want.
Full circle. Well, I would love, now that we're reflecting, a lot of people listening to this are going to be at various stages of the journey. Some of them might be like right at the very beginning, when they're just trying to dig their way out of something. Other people might be in the grind of building wealth. What advice would you give people listening to this who are also aspiring to do some of what you've done, Lou? You have any advice or tips you would give them?
Number one, it takes persistence to attain your goal, and you need consistency to maintain it. So never give up. It's all about changing your mindset. So if you change the way you think, you can really change the way you can really change your life.
That's 100%. So even before you get to the real estate, that the number one real estate between your ears, inside your head, that's the one to work on.
That purple book, Keisuke, is my Jesus Christ in terms of my financial life. So he doesn't know that, but he is. He saved my life. So if I didn't come across that book, I don't know where I am at this time.
All right. Well, I know people are going to listen to this and want to stay in touch with you, Lou. If somebody wanted to reach out to you, I know you're buying properties in New Jersey. You got other things going on. You have a lending business as well. If somebody wanted to connect with you after the show, I'll put links to this in the podcast description and the show notes as well. But where should people connect with you, Lou, after the show?
Shoot me an email if you have any deals here in New Jersey. If you want to connect or you just want some tips and advice, you can send me an email, aaarealtyinvest@gmail.com.
I will put links to that in the show notes as well. And Lou, I'm looking forward to staying in touch. And I think we're going to see each other at another BPCon later this year in Vegas, right?
Yes. Let's go Vegas.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Can't wait. I'm sure it's going to be lots of fun.
It'll be lots of fun. And I'm sure some of the listeners will be there as well. So come up and say hello to us if you see us there too.
Absolutely, Coach Chad. Absolutely.
Right. Thank you so much, Lou. Thanks for your time. I don't know about you, but I was blown away by Lou's journey from coming to this country with $200 in his pocket, building a career, getting laid off, and then buying businesses and real estate to replace his salary. His story proves that anyone, yes, even you, can do this too. But the big question is, what's the plan to actually make this happen for yourself with real estate? So in my next video, I want to show you exactly how to replace a $90,000 per year salary using real estate. The math is simpler than you think, and it's something I've done in my own life. If you're watching on YouTube, then click on the thumbnail above me here, and I'll also have a link in the podcast and the YouTube description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.